Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network for magazines, TV, and radio network. We're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. I'm excited that you are here with me on another Thursday. Can you believe it? It is December of 2021. My goodness, the year is almost over. And I'm happy to say we're kind of getting through it. In certain ways, it was almost a repeat of 2020. But, you know, I think we learned a lot in 2020. And now here we are on 12/2/2021, and we've all made it, haven't we? Today, it's kind of an exciting day because Orly may be coming on here in a little bit, but in her place, I have our CEO, Shawn Jones. She'll be on the show with me today. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Art of Connection, the Art of Connection Summit, and the iNetrepreneur Network. I mean, such great things that we will be talking about today. But I just wanted to remind us of all of a few things. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping here. The first thing is just subscribe to this channel. It's youtube.com/iNetrepreneur Radio. Again, that's youtube.com/iNetrepreneur Radio. If you don't know how to spell it, take a screen capture of it, pick your camera up, take a photo of it, and then after that, just either bookmark it or guess what? It'll be in your browser. And if you subscribe, guess what? It will reach out to you and say, hey, we're on the air. I also want to remind everyone that we also have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/iNetrepreneur Radio. So go ahead and like us on Facebook, give us a shout, maybe ask us some questions. I say give us some ideas for some shows. What do you want to talk about? Who do you want to have come on the show? And we'd be glad to entertain that as well. You know, we are an open network. That means that anyone can come in, try us out for a little while. And you know what? If you like it, then buy it. Come network with us. Speaking of networking, we have another place that you can go, and we have a short link to that. It's called ntevents.net, ntevents.net. You can go there to go to our academy classes, our memberships, which is really our membership is our networking chapters. We both have them online. We also have them in person. You can go to find out about our events, our shows, etc. So ntevents.net, that's ntevents.net, another great place to go ahead and bookmark us. So again, I'm excited that you guys are all here today, and let's just get on with the show. So I am here with, as I said, the CEO of the network itself. This is Shawn Jones. Hi, Shawn. How are you?
Hi, Robert. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm really excited that you're on here today. If Orly is able to come in, maybe we'll all join and kind of have a round robin conversation about, public speaking, about networking, about, our magazine, and of course, the Art of Connection book that's coming up in, less than 2 months at this point. That's pretty exciting, isn't it?
It really is. The first book in the series, which is a legacy book series, Art of Connection, we had 123 first-time published authors. That is huge for any book that's out there to have 123 people who have been published in the first time, first ever.
Well, yeah, and I agree with that. And so many of the people that were published in the book, they've come back to me and they said, I did it. I wasn't sure if I should do it, but not one of them came back to me, Shawn, and said, hey, it was the worst decision that I ever made. Why did I get in that book? Why am I in the Library of Congress? Why am I an international best-selling author? No. What really happened is they came back and said, you know what? I never thought I would see my name in print. I never thought that my thoughts would matter that much. And it's given them courage to do things that they might not have done before, both as an author, maybe even as a speaker, and certainly as an entrepreneur. Have you found that as well?
I have. I've had a lot of conversations with all kinds of individuals, companies, entrepreneurs, founders, seasoned writers, and nobody can ever say that being published in multiple books will ever hurt their careers, will ever hurt their image. All it does is it strengthens that person, the writer's voice. It strengthens their credibility. It helps keep them relevant. It allows them to write quickly. In a collaboration book, there's not very many pages they have to contribute. It's a good way to get content out there. And because of the way that this particular book is set up with the quote, the thought, and the question, all somebody writes is 355 words maximum. And from that 355 words, individuals that published in the first book, they took their content and then they've expanded on it, releasing their very own book, releasing workbooks, all because of the little bit of content that they contributed to the art of connection.
Well, and I think in many ways it goes, deeper than that. When it comes to entrepreneurs, and you and I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, don't we? One of the things I found is entrepreneurs have a lot of time. Many times don't have a lot of money. And a lot of time entrepreneurs that are making a lot of money, they don't have a lot of time. And what is great about this book is it helps both. If you don't have a lot of time, it usually takes about 45 minutes to an hour to complete your page. If you don't have really a lot of money, but you still want to be published, you still want to get yourself out there, we have a reasonable entry point of $147. I mean, I think that's incredible, don't you?
The value is definitely there. Again, what's an hour of your time? To be in a book series that's a legacy series, to be in a book that the Library of Congress has approved the series to be in their library. For people that aren't familiar with the Library of Congress, that's like the highest recognition you can possibly achieve outside of, in my book, being a Nobel Peace Prize winner, because they receive so many submissions all the time, and they do a lot of rejecting. And even before this book was ever published, the first one in the series, they approved it. That's phenomenal. For somebody to say, not only am I an international best-selling author, not only am I a multi-time international best-selling author, but I am also in the Library of Congress. That is credibility that you just can't go anywhere for $147 and buy.
Well, and what's phenomenal about that is, we do see quite a bit of, it seems like a lot of entrepreneurs are now becoming best-selling authors. And it really is key to say, what distinguishes you? Now we're entrepreneurs who are best-selling authors. Now we're entrepreneurs that have an ebook that is out. Now we're entrepreneurs that, have expanded the way that we promote ourselves. But very few, as you said, Shawn, are actually in the Library of Congress. And as a matter of fact, the Library of Congress was so impressed with the concept of this book, we weren't even done writing the transcript. It was the proof of concept that the Library of Congress accepted. And I think that that's where, people, they don't understand, the meaning and the value to that. When the Library of Congress comes back and said, what you're writing is meaningful in the time frame that you're writing it in, and it matters that much to us, we knew we had something that was special. And I remember, talking with our publisher at the time. I remember talking with you about it. And I remember that first feeling of knowing that there's an actual physical copy at the Library of Congress. I mean, it was like everything changed from that point forward, didn't it?
It really did. It was exciting releasing the first book and then seeing how the second book is taking off. I mean, it's based on a calendar year of 365 days. And what we saw from the first book, how people that were in it, how they leveraged it. Some of them turned it into a workbook in their own business, working with their clients. Some turned them into gifts. Some looked at it as you know what? There's 12 months of marketing because, as you know, the iNetrepreneur Network, we do a lot of social media. We create events around the book. We bring it into our own community where we have weekly discussions, sometimes 8 to 10 different discussions a week. And we highlight each one of the contributors, their quote, their thought, and we take their questions, and it creates strong, deep, meaningful conversations and turns into many masterminds. I mean, that exposure alone, again, is priceless.
Well, and people have also talked to me. They said, "Well, it's just one page." And I
Mhm.
say, "Yes, it's just one page." And to me, I think it's better to have one brilliant page than 1,000 crappy pages. And
Mhm.
really early on, back in the late and mid '90s, I actually was published as a poet, and and many of my poems weren't even half a page. So, I mean, really, so much of the time, it's really not the amount of quantity of the words. It's actually the quality of words, but it's also the collaborative effort of others that are in the book, because
Mhm.
those that are in this book, they're not just entrepreneurs, they're heart-centered, like-minded entrepreneurs. They're actually entrepreneurs who are not only wanting to gift back hope, inspiration, and support to other entrepreneurs and business owners in this world, but hope, inspiration, and support to each other in the book, aren't they?
They are. It's about helping others. It's about the relationships. That's what this book is all about, or connections. It's the art of connecting. And you're connecting with others through their stories, through their knowledge, their understanding. It's a way to see others' perspectives. It's a way for you to look inside of yourself, inside of your own company. It's really about touching the lives of many, and it's through stories, each of us sharing a story, a thought, and exposing ourselves. That's what makes it so powerful. They always talk about in networking, you have to find commonality, right? That's the first thing you need to do. Whether you are at a chamber, a networking event, someplace, you want to find a commonality. Well, through the art of connection, because our contributors have all of their contact information on their page, people can research their companies because, again, their websites, content, everything is there. They are creating an instant connection with themselves, to the reader, to the reader, to the contributor.
And I like what you said, because we can further that to, there is strength in the vulnerability of all the entrepreneurs who submit their pages into this particular book. And what we have found is not only did they contribute to the first book, we're finding people that are contributing to the second book. We're finding people that want to contribute to a third book. So
Mhm.
so the value is there. And with the events, the Art of Connection Summit, we'll talk about that a little bit in the next segment. It really is a place to celebrate, this whole art of connection in a way that I feel that hasn't been done before. What I have going across the screen is you can get more information on this book by going to 365 days of inspirational quotes.com. That's 365 days of inspirational quotes.com. If you are looking to reserve your date, no one else can get it. It could be your birth date, it could be the birth of your first child, it could be when you opened your business. I've even had people say, I'm going to pick my sobriety date. Go to that book, and certainly you reserve a date. And right now, it's not $550 for that page. It's $250. If you just want to leave it to fate, you don't want to pick a date, go ahead and get a random page. Maybe that is your new date from here on out. But again, it's 365 days of inspirational quotes. Be a part of the community that cares, and that is the Art of Connection community. The Art of Connection Summit.com is where you can get more information on that. And what we'll do, Shawn, is we will take a break right now. We'll come back. I'll play a little commercial. Let's talk about that summit. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
Well, hi everyone again. I am here with Shawn Jones. Shawn Jones is the CEO of the iNetrepreneur Network and Network Together LLC. You know what, she is the most special person in my world, you know, and I want to make her special for everyone else who's hearing her out there in radio land. You know, and Shawn, you know, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. And I remember when this idea was first hatched about giving back to other entrepreneurs and business owners, and you know, a lot of time, you know, us business owners, us parents, you know, we talk about things and we talk about it in the form of legacy, and so much of the time we talk about legacy as stuff. And I remember that one day when you know, Troy, one of our four kiddos, came up to me and said, you know, Dad, you old people got it all wrong. And I looked at him and I thought, well, okay, well, what do we have wrong? He's like, well, when you talk about legacy, you always talk about stuff. And he's like, well, why don't you talk about knowledge? Because if you don't have the knowledge to keep that stuff, it'll all be taken away. And I thought that was a tremendous starting point for what we were doing in this book. And I still remember coming home from the publisher that one day, and I was so excited. And I came to you, and I'm like, honey, oh my God, this is the greatest thing. I mean, the publisher thinks this book is just going to be phenomenal. It's going to help so many people. And I remember you looking at me, and you go, you did what? And I was like, yeah, we're going to be publishing a book. Do you remember that?
Yes.
and you and you go to me like, who's going to buy a book like that? And I will never forget that day for the rest of my life. And I remember my my heart, my ego, my everything, my jaw just went straight to the floor, and I was just like, did she just say that? And then the next day I'm thinking like, okay, you know, they always say that it's, you know, family and all that, and then then I remember you putting up your hands and you go, wait, honey, let me finish. What I mean by that is why don't you take other people in the community with you? So it's not just you on this journey, you're taking everyone. And I remember going back to Becky, and you know, she was our publisher at the time, and she thought that was the most wonderful thing. She said, you know what, that's even better. And then she liked it so much, and that's when she submitted it to the Library of Congress. And then all of a sudden it went from our community, didn't it? And it started becoming viral. It ended up going out to 12 different countries and 25 different states, and we decided to say, you know what, we need to celebrate this. And that's when the Art of Connection Summit was hatched, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. And it's a joy, a true joy. And people don't talk about the word joy all that often, but it is such a joy to be able to talk to people all over the world who have all different backgrounds, education, types of businesses, years in business, and they come together. And for 12 hours, I mean, it's a 12-hour day. That's just the people that attend. That doesn't include our staff and us. I mean, but
Yeah,
so it
the 18-hour day at minimum, right?
absolutely. And to connect with people all over the world. I mean, 25 states, 15 countries. That number is always changing.
It
I
is.
mean, it is what's such a joy is how they share after the events, even months after. I'll have conversations and they go, Shawn, you know what? Because of that event, I met people I would never have ever been in a room with. I would never have left my city, my state, my town, my board, whatever. I would never have thought that an event that's about connections, that I truly would find other people that were just like me. We're doing business. I picked up new clients. I picked up new ways. I've learned so much because it's not just about the connecting, you know, to past business, but it's also the connecting to find others that are heart centered, like minded thought leaders, you know, to bounce ideas off of, you know, no judgment. It's all about truly helping each other.
Well, you know, you know, and just as deep is when people they read the book, and then they hear the words, and all of a sudden they meet them at this event, or they see them up on stage, or they hear them ask a question, you know, in one of our laser presentations, or they see the other person in the mastermind, and then all of a sudden, you know, not only can they read the words, they can hear the words of who wrote those words. And I think that that's what's really incredible about this time frame in life. You know, not only are we able to read the words and have it impact us, we can actually see the thinker of those, heart set thoughts. And that's what's really amazing about this summit. And this next summit, we have contributing authors from the first book wanting to come. We have contributing authors from this book that are wanting to come. Heck, we have people that aren't even contributing authors that are coming to this book, to this event. And at the last event, we had over 300 attendees all come together for one simple concept, and that was connection. And what we do in that day of the events is we actually break up the day into 4 major parts of what connection looks like, don't we?
We do. It's what I love about, and I'm going to be, kind of selfish here. What I love about the event myself is how we bring on experts in 4 areas of connecting. You have holistic connections. And Robert, you explain it best about what does it mean for holistic connections for our audience that's watching us right now? Because you explain it so much better. I just love it.
Well, I need to take a step back, because at the first event, we were actually struggling just a little bit with what we wanted it to be, because we felt like before you can put out your hand, before you can put on your smile, you actually have to start in between here. And at the first event, we called the panel World Class Connections, didn't we?
We did.
And then I remember us both sitting down, and almost like in an entrained way, we were both like talking to each other, and we were both pretty much at the same time. You know what? That just doesn't sound the way that we want. And then all of a sudden it came into my mind, and I'm like thinking, well, the medical community, has holistic, but then I also see it with this W in front of it, meaning holistic, and I thought, what a great way, to me, it doesn't start with mindset. It starts with heart set. So a great heart set leads your mindset where you can work on your skill sets. And that's what it is, Shawn. It's about, establishing the heart set that centers here, that drives here, that allows you to get out there. And that is that holistic concept of what we're doing at this event, of people that are coming in here and saying, you know what, stop thinking that you can't do it. Start thinking that you can do it. Open up those doors, get on those shows, make those calls, be that person that's going to change lives. And I think that that's what that first panel is all about. It's about taking those self-defeating thoughts, whatever velcroed you through all those years, and coming into this whole new you. And it's all with us. And that's what that holistic framework is about. It's about being whole in every way and enjoying and loving life the way that it's meant to be.
See, I told all of you that are watching this, I told you, Robert explains it in such a way that you just go, okay, that you sold me there, because I mean that hits me on so many levels. And so we have the holistic connections panel with the experts. Then we have our social connections, and it's just that we are all individuals. We are all humans. We all have thoughts, feelings, emotions. We strive to look a certain way in our own unique ways. No 2 people are identical, even twins. There's still a difference between them. And so we bring experts in to share how to connect on a social level. And it's exciting. I mean, we've had behavior specialists and coaches, and we've had psychologists, we've had image experts, because, yes, while what counts on the inside is just, if not more important, people still look at that book cover. And so it's how to connect. And then we have our social media connections. And we bring experts in the digital space, because let's face it, digital is key. It's powerful. Social media, it can, good, bad, or indifferent. If you're on social media, you're there for life. That information doesn't go away.
Well, and this is what's incredible. I mean, this is, it's like, some people say, what keeps you up at night, but this is what gets me up for the day. And, I mean, this is what gets me up every day. And, going back to the holistic and going back to the social, what we're really doing is so much of the time we concentrate on the out there, but we don't start with the in here. And Do I not say this, Shawn, all the time? I say so many of us work on what we do and how we do it, but we don't work on who we are. And that really is where it's at. Stephen Covey said it when he said there's this process of sharpening the saw. And at this event, I mean, you're getting to sharpen it. You're really getting to sharpen it from seed to tree, aren't you?
You really are, and everything in between. It's about having a tree trunk. So the event
Mhm.
itself, the platform, just showing up, that's the trunk of the tree. We bring the limbs, and then from the limbs, outreach the branches. And that's where the growth starts. And so we have the social media connections. And then we also have traditional connections where we bring experts in a variety of fields. I mean, we've had publicists, PR professionals, ad
Mhm.
agencies. I mean, just so many different, because entrepreneurs, they need to understand you have to have multiple ways to connect. It can be maybe just connecting face to face with your client. Maybe it's creating content and imagery through email or automation. It's
Mhm.
about the social media and understanding how do they work together? How do you keep brand consistency? And then tying it into traditional methods.
Because we want to help. We want to help the heart centered, like minded entrepreneurs. Because what starts in here, your idea, your service, your product, you have to conceive it, believe it, and then you achieve it. And that is an amazing saying. But the thing is you and I both know, Shawn, it gets nowhere if it stays in the shoebox in your closet at your home. And that's why we have the holistic panel, the social panel, the traditional media panel, and the digital media panel, because we believe that everyone is a rock star. Everyone has a light to shine, and we are helping light their lights, aren't we?
We really are. And, you know, it's not just you and me, Robert.
Hmm.
And this is what I love. It's the experts, it's the attendees themselves. We have people that have been following us and being interactive because of what's provided for 10 years now. That's something that we don't talk a lot about. I mean, 10 years of knowing who we are for, what they're looking for. Everything is about everyone else. You and I are just really along for the ride to go, oh my gosh, we were able to be there and help. But 10 years to be in an industry of helping entrepreneurs, executives, founders be seen, be heard, build their credibility, build their audiences, find ways to get outside of their own boxes that they've trapped themselves in.
It really is getting out from behind yourself, and I believe Kimberly Humphreys has supported us on the show today. And I want to reach out to her for a little bit because the growth in her has just been amazing, and she is a longtime member of the iNetrepreneur Network. And one of the things I wanted to say is she really got me, thinking about the wholeness of life. And I remember when I was thinking about this, some time ago, you know, I mean, a long time ago, actually, and I was thinking about, what is it that I want to achieve? What is it that I want to do in life? You know, and I thought, hey, am I doing that? And I remember her telling me one simple thing, and that's what I love when it's pure, isn't it, Shawn?
It really is.
It's not complex, it's simple. And I remember her telling me this, and she probably doesn't even remember telling me this. She said, you know what? The one simple thing that I want to share with you, Robert, is, does it bring you joy? And she said, if it brings you joy, then your gifts will shine. And I will never
Mhm.
forget that she put that on me, in my heart, to say, you know what? I am enjoying what I do. I mean, are there days when I get up and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't I don't want to go through the day. I don't want to make that call. I don't want to go to that meeting. You know, I do. But then all of a sudden I see that person, or I hear that message, right? Or something just inspires me, like a person opening the door for someone else. And all of a sudden it's like everything comes back into view. There's all that clarity, there's that alignment with everyone else, and all of a sudden, I think to myself, I am on this path, and you know what? And is about the enjoyment. So the Art of Connection Summit is coming up on January 27th, 2022. January 27th. We're saying it right here and right now because we don't want anyone to say they already have plans on that date. This is the event to all attend. I mean, if you are looking to fill your calendar with quality people from morning to night for the next pretty much 3 months, this is the time to do it, isn't it, Shawn?
It really is. And one thing I want to point out, and this is really key. People pay to attend this event, and I'm going to share what the ticket prices are, Robert. And I'm probably blowing up what we should be, but I'm doing it for a reason. And the reason why is the people that we attract to this event each and every time. They're there looking to fill their stages, their shows, whether it's podcast, radio, TV. They're there looking for products, tools, systems. They're looking for coaches, consultants. They're there because they have an agenda for business. They are not there for the free virtual swag. They're not the tire kickers. They are really out there to look, to connect. They're the ones that will stay all day because they know the value that they get. A person pays $197, $200, if you will, to be at this event. And you and I both know if somebody's shelling out $200 to attend an event, they're quality. They're looking for something. They're in it to win it. They're the action takers, the ones that are saying, I have a need, I'm looking, I fulfill. And so we actually, as kicking off for the event, we will have a promo code. So I'm not going to give the promo code. So if you want to only pay $27 for the ticket, now do the math. I think that's what, 86% off of the ticket price. So taking that $197 ticket down to only $27, we will be putting a promo code after the show in the comment box. You can reach out to us, to the iNetrepreneur Radio or the iNetrepreneur Network. You can reach out to Robert and I, and we will give you that promo code because you have to use it. And it's only going to be valid until December 24th. So that means that after this show, up until December 24th, those tickets, those $200 tickets will only be $27. So I am really excited. You know, that's an early bird special. Robert, I'm probably sure I stole the thunder, but I feel that it's important for people to understand that when you hit 300 plus people at an event, and a virtual one, which we all know virtual events, you know, some people get tapped out, but to be able to say consistently that this event every single time has 300 plus people, you know it's a good event. It's an event you should be at.
Well, and it's an event where so many people come to us and say, hey, we can't get anything to eat. We can't even go to the restroom. There is so much going on. There's so much information. They lift their notebook up and they have pages of notes they have from it. You know, is it serious business? Yes. But is it
Yes.
seriousness about the heart? Absolutely as well. And that's one of the biggest things I want to say. So many times entrepreneurs who really truly have that heart set don't necessarily get their financial set going. But this is also an event to help those nurturers out there. I'm one of them, guys. I'm one of those nurturing guys. I'm the one that's like, you know, let's give away the shirt. You know, I don't know my own value. I didn't know this, that, and the other for all these years. But there's something about, you know, doing business and remembering that, you know, your business really is not you. You know, your business is the value and the alignment and the clarity and the service that you provide. And that's what we are all doing here, is understanding and embracing the value of who we are and what we offer. And a lot of the teaching at this event comes along those lines, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, we have workshops all throughout the day. We have 2 big mastermind sessions that will be going on. I'm excited, you know, because, you know, I like to be that party after hours rock star, just like you, Robert. You know, that's before we look at our beds, right, and go, we're exhausted. But we're going to be hosting a private virtual dinner after the event. And, you know, you guys that are watching, you know, business is usually done before an event, before a meeting, after a meeting, it's done on the golf course, it's done over food. And we're offering that virtual dinner with you and I just to say, hey, let's continue this.
Yeah, and we see it at the live events, but you know, and I want to talk about Zoom just a little bit. Our platform will be on Zoom, but it's like networking. I have this saying that says, networking isn't bad, only bad networking is bad. Please, come attend this event, get that early bird special, and quite frankly, if you want to be in the book right now, be a best-selling author, be a first-time author, get in the Library of Congress. We have reserve dates for $250, and guess what? You can be you can come with us on this incredible journey at the Art of Connection Summit and join us at the Library of Congress.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is a pretty amazing thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take another break. I just want to get this information across the screen just for a little bit. Again, go to 365 days of networking quotes. 365 days of inspirational quotes.com. That's 365 days of inspirational quotes.com. If you go there, you can get all the information about what it takes to have your page in the book, what the difference between a reserve date page is and a random date page. If you don't have that special date that you really want to mark in your life, take a random page. I mean, to be a best-selling author for $147, I'm telling you, no one has come back to me and say, oh my gosh, it's the worst decision I ever made. It's the worst decision to be a first-time author. It's the worst decision to be an international bestseller. It's the worst decision to be in the Library of Congress. It hasn't been that way. People come back to me and they say this incredible word called courage. They say, thank you. Seeing my name in that book, having people reach out to me, doing something I never thought that I would do before. Yeah, that courage, the courage that they talk about to me. And they said, you know what? It's made me do things that I thought I would never do. And that's really about what this is about. Bringing people together that provide some inspiration, some information, and sometimes just a little swat in the butt. And that's what I love about this event. So please, theartofconnectionsummit.com, go to theartofconnectionsummit.com and find out some more information about this event. But Shawn, we're going to take a break right now because I don't want to get tear. That emotional guy, I don't want to get that tear here. And we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about what the book looks like in a little bit further detail. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
All right.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
Well, all right. Let's talk about this a little bit, Shawn, because a lot of people, they wonder. They say, you know what, I just don't have the time to write a page. I just don't know what I can put on that page. Who's going to listen to my thoughts? I don't have anything to say. I really haven't been successful as an entrepreneur. It goes back to this head trash, doesn't it? And you and I, we talk about that with people who start saying that, and we say, no, you've lived too much life to say things like that, don't we?
Yes. I have talked to quite a few that have self-doubt, or my favorite is, I'm just too busy. And my next question when they tell me, well, I'm just too busy, I said, are you too busy being profitable, or are you too busy being busy? That right there is a showstopper. But for those that don't know me, I tend to be a little bit on the direct side, so I'm an acquired taste. But it really does. I've had quite a few people stop and they say, well, I'm dealing with some stuff in my personal life, or I'm just kind of looking at what I need to be doing for next year. And through that conversation of being busy, being profitable, or busy in general, it usually comes back to self-doubt. That's really the underline. Who's going to want to talk to me, hear from me, read what I have to say? And so through this journey with them, it comes out to they're not sure how to go about writing their page. Where did they start? What story do they share? Should they make it personal? Should they make it more on the business aspect? And you did an incredible video that you offered to everyone who wanted to attend. You recorded it. So when we have these conversations of somebody saying, where do I start? We send them an hour-long video that you actually help them write their page. And from our first book, going back to those 103 first time, never before published author contributors, some of them had never even written a blog for their own business. The average amount of time that it takes to write 355 words, that's max, is 45 minutes to an hour. That's even after proofreading it and making some changes. So think about in your day, where can you shave off 15 minutes? Take 15 minutes, put that on writing the quote. Take another 15 minutes, write the thought, and take another 15 minutes and write the question.
And if you don't like writing, I mean, so much of us, just grab out your phone, open up an application and talk to it. And then email your thought to yourself. And, for me, let Grammarly work it out, quite frankly. I mean, Grammarly has become my best friend. And, and you might be one of those like me where your mind is so active. I mean, sometimes people will hear me stutter a little bit. It's because the thoughts that come through my mind are much faster than my mouth can speak. And, for those of you like me, the phone is the best friend. When those thoughts are coming out and all of a sudden you have that something and you don't want to listen, talk to that phone, get it recorded. It will transcribe it and then send it to you. And then all you have to do is edit your own words. We have a really, really, easy system for that. And one coach told me, Shawn, he told me once, he's like, look, if you don't have enough time, go to bed an hour and a half later or get up an hour and a half earlier. Don't let 1 to 1.5 hours take away from the lifetime journey of doing something that most people have never done. And I know I've said it twice already. No one has come back to me to say, it was the worst decision they ever made. They come back and say, you know what, I can't believe that I did that. No one can take that from them. And it reminds me of the same thing when we were talking about legacy, Troy and I, that piece of knowledge of knowing that you're there. They can take away everything else that you have in life, but you know what? No one's going to take away that. And I think that that is pretty powerful.
And you're so right. And to circle back, somebody who has been in the book, and I'll say it. I had a conversation with a gentleman, and he said, for me, I didn't do anything with it, so I didn't see the value for me. And I said, well, I think you just said it best. You did nothing with it. You didn't show up to any of the opportunities that come along with it through events and the recognition. You didn't comment on your posts through social media. You didn't show up in the platforms throughout the year where everybody's talking about your quote, your thought, your question, because that's something that we do in the community. Did you post and share your excitement that you were published? Are you using the book? Did you send out brag letters? It is a tool. Think about this. For those that are like knowledge-based, you're very blueprint focused, and I can say that I'm a blueprint. Leverage it. The more you can share it on all your social media, put up campaigns, have your content, social media management companies out there, put that out there top of mind once a month on the different platforms. Do live videos. Say, hey, guess what? I just ordered my book copy. I'm in it. I ordered my stack. Kenyatta Turner, who's part of our community, she was probably one of the best at promoting. Even when the packages were delivered, she opened up a live live on LinkedIn. You see her tearing into her packaging, showing the books coming out, the smile, her talking about it, her excitement. She took that and used it as leverage to get people talking about her and her company. Talk about the value. But if you're not taking those opportunities, you're not getting outside of your box and you're just saying, okay, I was published, and you never do anything more, you never show up, that's where it'll stop.
Well, and it's also, one of the biggest things. It's showing up for each other. That's why we
Mhm.
have the Art of Connection Summit. If you're in that book, there's a certain, there is a certain, feeling, there's a certain thought, there is a certain attraction, a relatability to every contributing author that's in that book. And that's why, when you talk about just putting up that page and not getting something out of it, well, really what you're doing is, you have gifts to offer as well. And by no one being aware of who you are, you're actually not able to share the very gifts that God gave you to help others. And I think that
Mhm.
that's where it really comes down to, where it really it saddens me, because that's why we do these events. But but here's the other thing, Shawn. I like to call, and I periodically do. I call members. I call people who may not be in the membership. We call that the the alumni. And I also called the contributors in the book, and I say, what have you found? Tell me about it. Has it been life changing? Let's say. And I've had them call me, and they said, you know what, Robert, I actually did use that book. I use it in
Yeah.
my business. And I'm like, well, how do you use it in your business? Well, I facilitate a group, and I use a few pages out of the book, and we have conversations on it. I use some of the different quotes and I put them up on my wall. And you know what? But some of the coaches that are in that book, they said, but the thing that really worked out for them best is they said, I reached out to the other contributing authors in the book just to have a conversation, to go out and connect. And they told me, I had two coaches tell me, they said the craziest thing that happened is that became my new business. And I didn't mean it that way. And I don't mean it that's the only thing I do. But we two coaches have made over six figures just by starting the conversation with those other like-minded entrepreneurs who had a need for someone else in that book. They did
Mhm.
it the right way. They didn't just throw up a page. They didn't just buy the book and have it come in Amazon and it's sitting out in their garage. They made it something that's living and breathing. And you know what? Those are the authors that are in the second book, probably the third book and the fourth book, because they see it's not about just the doing of something, it's about the continuation of doing that something. And that's what really affected me, and that's what I have learned about this book. The consistency of credibility is everything. And
Mhm.
having this book and being a part of other magazines and their books too, I mean, that's where the magic really lies with most of us, isn't it?
It really does. I mean, the book turned out to be so much more than we, either one of us, ever imagined. And to see how others that are in the book, how they've used it for their needs and the needs of their clients. I mean, it's, again, it goes back to just, it's joyful to see and hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk a little bit more about the pages in the book. Each page is set up in really four sections. And the first section is the author name and the quote, their quote, not someone else's quote, not Martin Luther King's quote, not Mahatma Gandhi's quote. It's your quote, something that you live by, a code, a credo, a mantra. A daily devotion that you've created for yourself. We want it to be your words. We want your words to be expressed to the world. That is the first part of the book. And then it goes to the thought. Tell people about the thought, Shawn.
Well, I want to add a little bit to
Okay,
the
add to the
quote.
quote. Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
I know. So
I said,
one
ah.
So what I got excited about is the entrepreneurs, the businesses that are in there. They used sometimes their own tagline for their business as a quote. Because if you think about it, like for our community, where relationships create community and commerce follows. In a standalone, yes, it's a tagline when it's tied to the name, but singularly by itself, it's a quote. So think about it. It's a marketing tool, also, the book. You're going to inspire others, but think about how you can relate it back to your business. If you don't have any ideas, think about the most common phrases that you use to your clients that are unique to you. That's one. Two, use your own company tagline, because that tagline thing then can lead into the thought. And the thought, you can take people down a journey, whether it be something grandma and grandpa told you, something that you've learned in your own business, life lessons. It's a description, it's a feeling, it's a vision. You're painting a picture with broad strokes about what the thought is, the meaning behind that quote. It helps others understand what that quote means.
And I love the thought, because so many times we can go to Goodreads, or thought quotes, go into Google, and we know the people behind the quote because we've seen those people many, many times, and then we read the quotes. But the difference here is for everyone who's in this book, that thought breathes more life into the quote, because it's not what we perceive that quote means, and there's something to that, and we still all take it differently. But to have the thinker of that quote be able to express in words why it matters to them, I think that that's another place of beauty that this book provides that I really haven't seen many other places, if at all. And when you're able to maybe see a comparison contrast of that single mom who picked herself up and became a successful business person, or that young man who was maybe a little bit awkward and turned into being someone who speaks so eloquently from stage, or maybe that business from that person who is in an underprivileged community and all of a sudden became someone who just gave back to that very community and started their own charter school, etc. I mean, there's so many stories that can be weaved into the quotes that are a part of that book. That's what's so, I think, perfect about this book, is that the thought area really gives us insight on what the drivers or the attributes of that quote offer. Don't you think?
I completely agree. Hands
And
down.
then
There's nothing to add to it, Robert. I mean, it's like, whoop, we got this.
you know and but then here's the thing. We wanted to even go deeper than that, Shawn, didn't we? It wasn't just the quote and the thought behind the quote. The last substantial piece of that page is the question, or questions to the reader. And I think that that's what really ties it in. This inspiring quote, the deepening of that quote through thought, and then that question to the reader that says, I have done this. Are you in that position? Can you do it too? I mean, there's something that's pretty motivating when you go through that book and start reading those questions, and it starts to make you think, doesn't it?
It does. You've taken this book from being an inspiration book, just a standalone daily inspirational book, to something more. And you've turned it into an interactive inspirational book where the reader completes the questions where they're at today. Now, some people have used the book. They like it. It's so easy. They go from page 1 to the end of the book in just a few hours. And they go through and they answer all the questions, because the questions come from so many different angles, whether it's introspective, retrospective, maybe it's, where they're at in their business. And so it's a good starting point. And then they can revisit that, let's say at the 90-day marker, or the 6-month marker, or a year later. Some need that daily help. So they turn it into like their journaling. Some people love to journal. And it gets them to really ponder and think about it. And yes, there's lines that they can answer the questions, but we're also finding that people are going beyond just those lines. Then it's creating conversations in their family units, their partner relationships, their business relationships. And before you know it, that one question has turned into so much more, and it's interactive.
And it also touches on so many things. I mean, does it touch on financial things? Absolutely. Does it touch upon maybe the hero's journey of overcoming? Does it touch upon, financial things? Does it touch upon, familial things, family things? Does it touch upon even spiritual things? And
Mhm.
that's what's really interesting about this book, emotional things, thought processes. There is something in that book for every reader. And you know what? There's so much something for every book. There are somethings in that book you didn't even know you needed those somethings. And all of a sudden you read that page and you're like, wow, I never even thought about that. But now I'm writing about that in my own journal. And I've had people come back to me and they said, they're using this to help them in their own journal because there are, some, you know, several hundred authors coming from all these diverse backgrounds, all these different directions, all these different countries, all these different states. And it's like all of a sudden I become more whole in my thought process. I become more whole in my heart process. And all of a sudden they're challenging me to push out the skill sets to become a more complete me. And I think that
Mhm.
that is another beauty about this book that I would have never thought to begin with, is that it actually really comes out to being, a certain amount of, not just a guidebook for entrepreneurialism, but kind of a guidebook for life in many ways, don't you think?
I agree. It's, for me, I'm not a journaler. Okay. To sit down every day and journal write, get all my thoughts and feelings out. That's not me. But what I appreciated about this book is it really got me to think outside
Mhm.
of where I'm at. Where do I want to be? What are some struggles? It identified some things that I had been going through. One of our, and it's going to be out in our new book, but somebody wrote about whole foods and how whole foods, what goes into our bodies, how it affects our mind, our
Yeah.
metabolism. It goes over, even how it affects our moods, our interactions with others. And it's all about whole foods. And I never really looked at it because, we eat a very
Mhm.
Mediterranean paleo type diet, very balanced, enriched with grains and fibers and vegetables. But I really never gave it much thought about whole foods. I just take
Mhm.
for granted what we do. But then when I started reading the quote and then I was reading the thought behind it, and it posed some valid points, and then when it asked the magical question, which I'm not going to say what it is, I went, "Oh, that was kind of like an aha moment for me."
you know,
So it's an enjoyable book to read.
mhm.
I love how it creates deep conversations among lots of different people, even with teenagers and even younger kids. Because as many know, you and I have 3 kids still in the home, 9 to 15, and we talk about these quotes and the thoughts and the questions to see even where our kiddos are at their age and their perspectives. How many dinner tables have those kinds of conversations with their kids?
Well, and speaking of kids, I was working with a gentleman who's going to be in the book, and we were talking today, and he says, one of the things that we need to understand is that there's conversations at all levels, and the conversations sometimes with your children, especially your young children, need to be very different than you have, with each other as entrepreneurs. And he was telling me about how sometimes we have all these tests and we have all this analysis and we have all this data and we have
Mhm.
it all on kids and we can explain it to each other and understand, but are we explaining it and having our kids understand that? And it really got me thinking, because one of the things that we talk about is, we believe that entrepreneurs should start at 14 instead of 40. And he went to me, he's like, entrepreneurism should start at 4 and not 14. And I thought to myself, you know what, he has something there. And it's all about the language. And that's what this book does. He's going to be writing something about kids, and how entrepreneurs can actually start impacting kids at the youngest of ages because of the language that we use. And that's what I've been learning from this book, is just to create a tremendous amount of impact in any place or at any age, for all times. And that's why I'm excited about The Art of Connection. And you can find out more information at 365 days of inspirationalquotes.com. I mean, Shawn, you and I, we love this book. And of course, we should love this book. We're a part of this book. It's a part of our heart, our soul, our work. But you know what? We want you to come with us. We want you to be on this journey. Jim Rome says, if someone's out there floundering or drowning in the water, you have a moral and ethical obligation to go out and save them. You know what? You may not be drowning in the water, but you know what? We both feel that this is a place that you can float and float forever and just find your greatness. Any further thoughts, Shawn, before the show ends?
No, but well, actually, yes. So as we said earlier, we are going to have a special promo code for those that want to get their tickets to the Art of Connection Global Summit that's happening on January 27, Mountain Standard Time, 7 in the morning till 7 p.m. Comment below and we will reach out to you with that special promo code, because you're going to save like 85, 86% off of the tickets. That's a huge savings. And, I love to save money. I don't know about you. So make sure you comment below, contact the iNetrepreneur Radio. We can get that information to you. Contact iNetrepreneur Network. Heck, look Robert and I up. We'll be able to give you the inside scoop and that promo code directly.
Oops, I spelled it wrong. I was trying to get this typed in there, Shawn, while you were talking about that. So again, I have it here. I'm going to scroll it across the screen. Go to artofconnectionsummit.com. That's Art of Connection Summit. You can see some of our past panelists there. You can see our agenda that we're going to have on January 27th. I can pretty much guarantee that you will find a boatload of takeaways from this event. One of the things I say is, to change your life fastest, change the people in your life, change the information that you feed your life, and, find your places of that inspiration. And I'm stuttering a little bit because I'm just like so excited about this event. Well, everyone, again, my name is Robert Jones. I am the owner and founder of the iNetrepreneur Network. I am here with our CEO, Shawn Jones. We invite you to be a part of the summit. We invite you to be part of this book. We are here pretty much each Thursday, Mountain Standard Time, from 2:30 to 3:30. We know you have places to go and things to do, but you spent that time and this place with us, and we say thank you for it. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been watching the iNetrepreneur Show, a production of the iNetrepreneur Radio Network, with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.